Hey, what is up everyone, Norman from Future Studio University, and welcome to the second video in our Glide series. In the first video, we have looked at how you can add Glide to your project and the first simple ways of loading images. Now in this video, we will look at how Glide handles image resizing and scaling, an incredibly important topic and also not that easy to understand with Glide. As always, you can find all the important things in the description below. You will find a link to a GitHub repository with the code. You will find the link to the first video and the entire playlist of all Glide videos. And you will also find a link for the tutorials where you can read everything we will go through in this video. And it also supports Glide 3.7 and 3.8. So if you're still on an older version of Glide, the tutorials are for you. Enough talking, it's time to code, and let's jump back into our Android project from last time. So to pick you up, last time we had this activity where we loaded an image by the InternetGL and resources and file and URI. Now what we want to do this time is we want to load images just like we have seen last time, and we want to look at different scale types. By default, Glide has two different scale types. One is the center crop, and the other one is the fit center, and you will see the difference in a second. And lastly, we want to look at the resize option. So last time we've loaded an image from the internet and we didn't look at how many pixels that image has and how many pixels our image view has and if that fits at all. And Glide does a lot of intelligence here, and that is different, for example, to Picasso, which doesn't do anything. It just loads the image and displays it no matter if the pixels fit or not. As a little background, what is happening here is that Glide will load the image and it will also look at how many pixels the view has. So in this case, it would be an image view. And then it will automatically resize the image so it fits the view. So if the image view has 150 by 150 pixels and the image you're loading has 1500 by 1500 pixels, it would be a waste of memory and processing if you want to display the full resolution of 1500 pixels, which doesn't make any sense because there are not that many pixels. So what Glide does, it resizes the image automatically to 150 by 150 pixels. Now, when you resize images, you always have to be careful because you can easily distort the aspect ratio, and then it messes things up, because if you're displaying a profile photo of a user and the aspect ratio gets messed up, that looks really weird, so you cannot do that. And as a tool to make sure that the images have the original aspect ratio, you have two options. The first option is the center crop scale type, and what center crop does is it will take the image and scale as big as possible so it fills out the entire image view or whatever that view is. And then it crops everything extra which is around this. So it basically takes the smaller bound, fill it up, and then crops everything else. Fit center, on the other hand, doesn't crop anything extra. So the image doesn't get, parts of the image don't get lost. It will always display the entire image. Now as a trade-off, some parts of the image view will be empty. I think this is hard to understand from a description, so maybe it's easier if we look at it in an example. Now you might be wondering, well, how can I apply this center crop and fit center with Glide? And actually it's pretty easy. So, I'm lazy, so I'm just going to copy paste the two calls here. And if you want to specify what kind of scale type Glide should use, you can simply call center crop and fit center, and that specifies the scale type. So now these two calls should have center crop and fit center, and this is the default version. It might make sense to take a quick look at the layout, and as you can see, all the images take the full width of the screen but have a specified height of 150 density pixels, so they are limited in the height. So let's load this thing and see how this looks like. And as always, I copy and paste stuff and forget to change the image view. So let's try this again. Alright, and you can see the difference between these two. So you can see here that the image was cut off at the bottom and top. So it scaled the image, so it takes the full width. And then the image view stops at the bottom because we have specified 150 density pixels. So it will have to cut off parts at the top and parts at the bottom. Now down here we have used the fit center. So even though this image view is still here and here, it will not fill it because the image doesn't have pixels right there. It scaled it to the full height, and it doesn't have enough width to fill everything. Now, interestingly enough, this up here looks the exact same. So when you don't specify anything, Glide will look at the view and see what the view suggests. And an image view, by default, has a scale type set. So what you could do is scale type, and an image view always has fit center. So what Glide does is says, okay, I'm loading this image into this image view. It has fit center set, so I will use the fit center scale type. And that's why these two look exact same. This one is an implicit fit center scale type, and this is an explicit scale type. So what happens if I change this up here to center crop? The first and second image should look exactly the same. And there we go. So this is scale type. Again, as a quick summary, you can change the scale type on the view directly. Sky will take that information into account. But if you want to make sure it has a specific scale type, you can call either center crop or fit center, the two options Glide has. Now, fit center and center crop are both options that make sure that the aspect ratio of the image stays the same. And that is important if you resize images to a specific pixel size. So by default, Glide will measure the view and take those pixels as the size of the image that is to be loaded. But if for whatever reason you want to have the image in a very specific pixel exact size, you can use the override option. Now this time I'm going to change to image view 4 right away. And so the override option lets you specify a size. So you could say, I have this image, I don't care what the image view is, I want this in, let's say, 400 by 50 pixel. And Glide will resize this image to 400 by 500 pixel, 400 by 50 pixel. And as you know, Glide will take the scale type from the image view. Now we have nothing set on the image view 4, so we'll use fit center. So theoretically, you should still be in a reasonable, it should still look reasonable and not distorted. And that's exactly what happened. If you don't watch this video on like 240p, you should see that this image is way more pixeled, so it has less pixels than the original version, but it's still in a decent aspect ratio. If you think about, we have said 400 pixels by 50, so it would be more like this and not in the regular size. And that's because the image view has a fit center scale type by default. So if you change this to something that doesn't respect the aspect ratio, for example, fit XY, this should look really weird. And there you go. And I think you can see it has less pixels, so it respected our wish of 400 by 50 pixels, and it also distorted the scale type for fit XY, which just pulls the image, even though it makes it look distorted. And that is everything we have in this video for resizing and the scale type. Let us know in the comments if you have any more questions. Otherwise, like this video if you have learned something, subscribe for more videos in this Glide series, and enjoy coding and make it rock.